Alright, so to rebuild the top of the Honda Acty carb, you're first going to want this rebuild kit right here. It says it's only for the manual model, but I'll be honest, you can use this on the automatic or manual. I've used it hundreds of times without issues. So first thing you're going to want to do is take a JIS screwdriver. This is a Vessel JIS screwdriver. JIS stands for Japanese Industrial Standard. You can get that just about anywhere. So what I've already done is I've removed the hatch, I've removed the carb cover from the top, and I've removed the vacuum lines. You can leave the carb in place to do this unless you want to rebuild the bottom seal, which I've actually never had a bottom seal leak or cause issues. It's always the top, and I will show you in just a second what the deal is. So when you remove these Phillips screws, or they're actually JIS, but when you remove them, you're going to want to put a lot of downward pressure, because if you strip one of these, there's a special tool that you have to hit with a hammer with a drill bit in the end to break them free. And I hate using it. People have brought me these completely stripped before to fix, and this one is disgusting. So I guess it's definitely not the worst I've seen, but you see all this carbon and garbage in there. So all this is going to get cleaned in a bowl with carb cleaner. This spring is all gummed up. This also gets cleaned. This guy has the needle in it, and this is pretty bad. So this person had some major idling issues. In fact, it took forever for me to start this. The needle actually moves kind of freely. It's kind of gummed up, moving up and down. All of this will get cleaned. Make sure these holes get sprayed out with carb cleaner. You want to pull this little guy here. Pull it out, don't drop it. There's a little O-ring on that guy. There's a little adjustment in there for the needle. I would leave it wherever it was set. But you're going to want to clean this thoroughly until it's completely shiny. Do not bend this needle. Don't press on it too much. Just spray up in there and get it clean. Replace this with the one that's in the kit. Make sure you put the O-ring on it. We're going to keep diving in over here. All right, so your next step is you're going to want to take a pick or something. In this case, I'm just going to use my finger. Actually, you know what? I'll probably use a screwdriver. There's this plastic circle, and then an O-ring. This O-ring is actually really dry. It's one of the drier ones I've ever felt, so you're going to want to pull that out of the way. And then there's another JIS screw over here. This one's loose, actually. They're never loose. That's concerning. But I'm going to pull it out of the way, and the little gasket and plastic piece underneath came with it, which is also very, well, the gasket didn't, but the plastic piece did. It came with it. So we're going to pull this out of the way. Do not lose that. Your kit does not have one. And you're going to take a scribe or a pick. And you're going to very carefully try and remove the cardboard seal that's in there. Then there it is. So the rebuild kit unfortunately doesn't come with this piece, so you have to clean it and reuse it. I don't understand why there's not a replacement for that, but I will show you this. So you want to spray these little nozzles out all the way around. You want to spray everything in here with carb cleaner. Once you have that all cleaned out, then these things run way better. But these are all clogged up right now. I can especially this one over here. As soon as those get cleaned out, these things run completely different. So let me go ahead and clean it, and then I'll come back. All right. So for rebuilding, first of all, make sure you clean out the inside of the carb. I've already sprayed it out with carb cleaner. Just kind of sopping up a little bit of the cleaner. Next thing you want to do is I cleaned the paper gasket that was down over here above what I believe are the jets. So cleaned it. The kit doesn't come with a replacement, but because I sprayed all that out, I went ahead and sprayed and cleaned off the paper gasket. I say paper, I think it's cardboard. Like, it's pretty strong. Just make sure you're careful with your towel or whatever you use to wipe it off, that you don't tear it up. So your next step is your rebuild kit will have this plastic ring. You want to orient this over where that screw head is, so that the screw head fits into that little half moon notch. Then you have an O-ring that goes around the outside of the replacement. This van is covered in ants. And that poor little ant just went down in that carburetor. So this was our old upper piece, and then this is the new centerpiece, I should say. And in your rebuild kit there'll be a little O-ring for it, so you want to very carefully put that O-ring on the centerpiece. Make sure it's not pinched or anything. You're going to want to push it down inside here. All of these pieces have been cleaned with carb cleaner. Needle moves freely, just be very careful with it. The next step is to find the notch in this, and this notch goes towards the screw. Make sure the needle is pointed straight down so you don't bend the needle, and just kind of let it fall into place. You shouldn't have to force it. If you have to force it, then that needle's caught on something. I rotate it a little bit to make sure the notch is caught where it's supposed to be. Then your spring goes right there on top. And then your cap is here. The spring sits over this center brass part. So you're going to put it there. And now I have this spun, but that's okay. So I get it down, I compress the spring, and I push this, and I rotate it. I'm going to let it up a little bit. And I rotate it until this is facing the driver's side or the right-hand side of the truck. And then I'm going to keep pressure on it while I thread the screws back in. So that is the quickest and simplest way to deep clean and do a partial overhaul of the upper part of, I say partial, to do an overhaul of the upper carb on these Actys, and that usually fixes all the issues. It's very rare that it doesn't. Like I said, I've never had an issue with the lower seals, but now you put your carb cover and all your vacuum lines back on place. You actually put this one in place before you put the carb cover on. So I'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, put the carb cover back on, and that's it. It'll take a while to start. After, basically because you have all that carb cleaner down in there, it'll take a while to start. Don't try not to give it gas, just let it, gas itself out, and then once it's ready, it'll turn over. So hopefully your battery has a lot of juice in it, and it'll keep turning it over until it fires right up.